Hello, I'm Dave and this is Logan, out once again for a walk in the countryside. Thanks for joining us. Now today we're at the sort of southwestern edge of the village of Alderholt, which is right on the northern edge of Dorset. It's located about 3 miles southwest of Fordingbridge, which actually is in Hampshire. And we're going to be walking a roughly 5.5 mile circular-ish route with the odd detour or two, initially heading on to Cranborne Common, on through the Telegraph Plantation and up to Stephen's Castle, where there's a mystical stone to try and find. And then we'll head north to the side of Pistle Down and onto a disused railway line before returning back along the banks of Sleep Brook. And I expect there'll be some interesting things to see along the way. Now I'm filming towards the end of November. It's quite a cold day, about 6 degrees, so we're well wrapped up. But the sun is out and there's a fair bit of blue sky. Should be perfect conditions for walking. Do come along with us. Well, I've parked my car in Alderholt. We're not going to look at the village itself. It's quite small, although it is growing. Quite a few houses have been built over the last few decades. We've walked along a little track and we're initially going to head off onto Cranborne Common. Let's go. Well, just to show you some of the scenery around here, a lot of the walk today is going to be over heathland, and this is quite typical of it. It looks quite sort of boggy out there, but we're following a footpath or a bridleway that's taking across the heath, and our first destination is that gap between the conifers on the top of that ridge in the far distance. Whew, just catch my breath. I've just had an uphill bit, but I tell you, it is glorious today. Almost don't need my gilet. And the views from up here really are quite stunning, if you ignore the telegraph poles and the electricity pylons, but really it's quite beautiful. So this is looking at the track that we've been following. A lot of gorse up here, very much in yellow flower now, but all the deciduous trees beginning to lose their leaves, and what few leaves are remaining, of course, are yellow and golden brown. Well, a little update on the route. We've come off Cranborne Common, we've come up onto a ridge, and now in a plantation. I think it's the edge of the Telegraph Plantation, still following a bridleway. Now, according to the map, I should have passed a trig point by now, but I haven't seen it, so I think I'm going the right way. Put it this way, the sun is there and that's the south, and we need to go southwest. Oh, that's an encouraging sign. Some way markers, so we're going the right way. Now, just to work out which way we go from here, we've got quite a choice by the looks of things. We're definitely on the right route. This telecommunications mast shows up on the map, so we just need to go to the right of that and say continuing on a southwesterly direction. Well, our next destination is a mysterious stone called Stephen's Stone. Now, I've got a rough idea where it is, but I wasn't 100% sure, but luckily I've just bumped into a lovely group of ladies in a walking group, locals, and they've given me some strict instructions of where it is. So I've got to go 200 yards in this direction, then left, and then left. I should be there. Let's see how we go. Aha! Well, those ladies were spot on. This is the final left turn, and the stone's even got its own sign. Brilliant. Well, I've got a little bit of a boggy track to get there, so I'm sending the advanced guard out first. Just about passable, but there is a path, but it's very, very damp. No sign of the stone just yet. Right. It is very muddy here. Logan is leading the way, but oh crumbs. It's almost boggy in parts. Well, another sign, so we're still going the right way. Well, this really is an adventure. Whew. Well, we've found it. This is Stephen's Stone, and it's an ancient block of, well, non-native sandstone, and it's the only one of its kind in the local area, I think. Now, legend has it that hidden underneath is a golden casket, but unfortunately there's a curse that will affect anyone that tries to tamper or move the stone. But it's certainly been here a long time. In 1220, the stone was actually recorded as Lahore stone and could well have been a boundary stone. But certainly it's well hidden. And I think it was only rediscovered in 1991. And the other legend is that, well, a local chieftain called Stephen, and I'll be talking about him later on, he was famed for his strength, and he threw the stepping stone something like 800 yards away from here, and this is where it landed. So there we go. Stephen's Stone has been bagged. Well, I'm glad we found it, but oh, it was a real challenge to get here, but good fun. Now, we've got to somehow make our way back through this muddy track. I say, if you're going to try and find the Stephen's Stone, probably best to do it in the summer. Well, we're now back on dry land. My feet are a bit wet. So our next destination is Stephen's Castle. So we need to carry on heading southwest for that. We're now onto the Stephen's Castle Nature Reserve, which is an area covering something like 20 hectares, and it's one of these SSSIs, and apparently all 6 native reptile species can be found here. So we've just got a little bit of a climb to get to the top of Stephen's Castle, where I'm told there's a terrific view. Well folks, here we are at the top of Stephen's Castle. It's basically some sort of bowl barrow, looks like just a mound, and the views from up here, well, they really are quite stunning. Now, I think it's a Bronze Age bowl barrow, although I have seen it referred to a lot as an Iron Age one, but I'm not sure if that's right, but I'm no expert. It was about 15 metres in diameter, about a metre high, with a ditch that's no longer visible. It was excavated in 1828 and some human remains found. And legend has it that, well, it was from this spot that the local tribal chief Stephen threw that massive stone. Now, I was reading that the area around here was used as a Royal Observer Corps monitoring post, and also it might have been used way back in the Second World War by observers. There may have been a searchlight battery located behind a cob cottage on the Moorlands Road to the south. Anyway, the area was taken over by the local authorities in the 1970s, and there's a fair bit of evidence of quarrying. And of course, from here you've got Burrows to the south, which had a thriving pottery and brickmaking industry in the past, as indeed Alderholt had, mainly because there was a fair bit of clay in parts around here. And there was a big fire in these parts back in April 2015 that affected something like 5 acres, but all seems to be recovering. Well, I'll tell you what, there's some terrific views from up there. So we're now going to start heading northwards for the next part of our journey. You might have seen on the drone shot a couple in with me, lovely couple, Kathy and Mick. They're locals, they've just moved to the area, and having a lovely chat with them. And they've now both proudly got their limited edition Dave's Countryside Walks badges. Well, we're making our way northwards, just passing Burrows Farm. I just had to stop and show you this quite idyllic pond with lilies and there's irises around the front. Gorgeous in the late autumnal sunshine. Well, now this is an important part of the route for those folk that might be doing this walk after watching the video. We've been heading north along a byway, and at the end of the byway, the track bears to the left. We need to turn to the right to follow a bridleway, and we're now going to start heading eastwards. Well, I'm now on the edge of the Telegraph Plantation. I'm right by a finger post with a myriad of footpath signs and bridleway signs. Just behind me here is the site of one of those old Admiralty telegraph stations. I don't think I'm going to be able to find the remains of it because it's so overgrown in there, but I'll tell you about it anyway. Now, it shows on old maps, and it's part of a 19th century Admiralty shutter telegraph system. There were about 30 of these shutter stations located along a route from the Admiralty in London all the way to Plymouth. And the system basically used signals using shutters to convey messages quickly between London and Plymouth. There were other routes as well. I think there was one to Portsmouth. And the stations, which were basically buildings with shutters on top, had, well, heading up to 5 Navy personnel. There have been 2 glassmen looking through telescopes, a couple of shutter operators and 1 chap in charge. It tended only to operate obviously during daytime, and if visibility wasn't any good, then messages were sent via horseback. It operated from about 1806 to 1816, or basically after the Napoleonic Wars finished. And the site here, well, it's basically a low bank, 40 yards by 50 yards, and a centre mound about 30 foot square. But I say, I think it's going to be very difficult to find. I mean, obviously these trees weren't here when it was originally built. Okay, well, we're going to continue heading northwards. We're going to do a little detour to check out a disused railway line. Well, we've done a little detour to a place called Cow Bridge, which is actually being repainted at the moment by a chap called Rob from the Cranborne estate. But it goes over the old railway line, as you can look down there. That was the line built by the Salisbury and Dorset Junction Railway Company in 1866. It was worked by the London and South Western Railway, who later absorbed the original company in 1883. And there was a station actually built at Alderholt in 1876. They actually called it Dagon's Road, so as not to confuse Alderholt with Aldershot. But the line and station all closed in the 1960s. Well, just having a chat with Rob, he tells me that you can see that fencing there. Well, it's a little enclosure because there are beavers behind there. Been there for 2 or 3 years. People very rarely see them because they're nocturnal, but there you go. Well, starting on the homeward leg now. So this is a view to the north. Cow Bridge was just down in the valley there. The sun just beginning to dip behind me, but there's some terrific colours still. Lots of goldens and yellows and sort of light browns of the leaves. Of course, the bracken has now got that rusty colour to it. It's so peaceful here. Look down there. I think that's yellow stag's horn fungus. A very distinctive bright yellow colour. Of course, this time of year it comes into its own. Lovely to see. Yesterday we were out on a walk in the New Forest and came across some devil's fingers fungus, and they were spooky. Well, another update on the route. We are very much on the homeward leg now, sort of retracing our steps back across Cranborne Common back to Alderholt. I'll tell you, the weather today, we've had about 3 weeks where it's just been dull, grey, and it's been lovely to be out and about on a fresh day. Well, it might be a bit chilly for a dog dip. At least you can cool your paws down. I think this is part of the Sleep Brook, which flows eventually into the river Avon. I think he's seen a squirrel. Well, we're nearly at the end of the walk now. Now, I know at the beginning of the video I did say that we wouldn't look around the village, but there's probably one building that we need to check out. Can you guess which one that might be? Yes, it's the Churchill Arms, which I believe dates from the 1900s. I was reading that it was built by a local farming family who first ran it. Anyway, it is open, so we ought to pop inside, purely for research purposes for the video, of course. Well, folks, here we are in the beer garden of the Churchill Arms, just testing out their thirsty ferret. Oh, lovely. And Piper's Crisps, your favourite. Hey. Well, we hope you enjoyed our walk today. If you did, please do give us a thumbs up and a like, and do leave a comment, and do check out our Facebook page, Dave's Countryside Walks. So until we meet again, thanks for watching, and cheerio.